Awesome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Federico, and welcome to the Cuttle Facebook live stream. Seems like Christmas is upon us, and people still have interest in doing like Christmas stuff. So I figured I would, you know, do another one of those requests, and it's kind of territory we've traveled before, but I hope I can add something new and interesting to it. I wanted to explain a couple of fun things. So there was this request from Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. And this is a Christmas tree topper with like a family name. And so we've done ornaments before. So I think for some people the pattern might be kind of familiar. But I wanted to try and experiment with this one and try and like do different shapes. This is something we haven't necessarily done before. So just looking at these, like the basic idea is that we have the family name, then we have like a star. So that would be like a front layer, and then we have a back layer with the same shape, and then it has this kind of added stick at the bottom with some slots. So it can be attached to the top of the tree. Jennifer here says that one cool thing that she likes about it is that it attaches with a ribbon tie instead of a cylinder. So I think that's cool too, because it's a little simpler to make out of flat materials with the laser. So with this basic idea, I'm gonna get started. So I just have an untitled project here, and all right. So I should change the name actually. Let me just start another project. So I'm gonna create a new blank project. I'm gonna change the title. So I'm gonna call it the Christmas tree topper. And excuse me, the first thing I wanna kind of figure out is like the overall size of the shape. And I'm gonna start with a star. So my first component here is gonna be the star. I'm gonna call it the shape. It's more generic. So once I have my shape, I can just grab a star, place it in the center of the canvas. Let's zoom in. And I like to start with the overall size so that can always be changed later, but it's nice to like kind of get a sense for how everything fits. So I think I want my star to be about 4 inches. I'm gonna type 4 right there. And so that makes it 4 inches. And this is just the beginning. So now that I have my shape, I can sort of apply some treatments to it. So let's create another component. I'm gonna create another component, and that's gonna be the name itself. So like let me go back here to the inspiration. Just the family name that's on the center. And so let's do connected text for that. So I'm gonna search for connected text, because it's like a convenient way of creating like a thing that cuts in a single piece, in a single shape. And so I think this makes sense. Maybe I'll do the alignment. Yeah, let's do it like that for now. So I definitely want that to be like a family name. Let's do like the Flores family. And I'm eventually going to be changing that name. So I'm going to just go ahead and extract that as a component, as a parameter, I'm sorry, by going to the 3 dots here and then extract as parameter. I'm going to move it to a project parameter, so it just applies to everything, and let's call that one the family name. Yeah, maybe the family name. I don't have to rename things, but I like to keep them organized. And so just to confirm that that is working, I can put any other name here. And that's working, cool. Flores. So now that I have the 2 elements, the star and the family name, I'm gonna start kind of putting them together, like assembling them. So I'm gonna start with like the front, the first layer. I mean, the layer that goes on the front. So that would be the star with the name. And so I'm going to create another component, and I'm going to call that just the front. And here in the front, I want to have my shape, and then I want to have my family name. One thing that is good to do, so let's figure it out. So I want the family name to just sort of adapt to the shape. As you know, if the shape changes or the length of the name changes, then I want it to sort of adapt. So, you know, as an example, if I type a long name here, it's gonna go past the thing, which might work, but actually I want it to adapt. So in order for it to adapt, I'm gonna use this fit within modifier. So if I select both shapes, and then I go to modify towards the bottom right here, there's one called fit within. And so what that one does is that it resizes the first shape to fit inside of the second shape. And so that's very convenient. Because now, like, let's check it out. If I change the name, you can see how it resizes just to stay within those bounds. And then we want the star to have some heft to it, to be like a sort of outline. And the convenient way to do that is that if we select the shape, we can apply this other modifier called outline stroke. So that's just like a really fast way of making the stroke look that, you know, a single line that we can cut into a sort of thickened kind of chunk. So, and then you can select how thick that is. So let's make it about a 1/4 inch for now. I think that kind of makes sense. So there, so we have and notice that the convenient thing about fit within is that it even adapted to the inside outline of that shape as I just did it. And then the next thing I want to do is that I want these last name or name to just kind of like be slightly bigger than the shape. So in fit within, there's an option called scale. And if you increase the scale, it just like kind of overlaps a tiny bit. So the overlap is convenient because then it can be attached to it. So I like a 110% overlap. That looks good. And now those two shapes, if I were to cut them, then it would just cut separately. So I want to join them. And I'm going to use the weld and score in this case. So I'm going to go to modify, and towards the bottom, you can see that there is towards the, I need to disappear myself. So towards the bottom of the modify menu, there is the weld and score, like right here. And so what that does is that it joins the two shapes, but wherever they overlap, you can see the blue lines. I can score those so it's still readable. And I think that's all I want for my front for now. I'm doing it a little bit different from the inspiration here. Like if you see here, they actually have the name in this white material, probably white acrylic, and then they expanded it a little bit. So this one is 3 layers, which is doable. But for now, I want to do 2 layers just to kind of move along. So now that I have this this front, then I want the back. And so for that, I'm going to create another component. I'm going to call it the back. And so let's look at the back real quick. So the back is, again, the shape. It's a little bigger than the original shape, and then it has this bottom thing to attach it. So let's drag the shape. I always want to put it like right in the center so everything aligns. And I'm going to do something kind of funny here, actually. Since I created the front, I'm going to place the front also here. But this is kind of getting hard to read. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to turn the front into a guide. So if I select over here, there is like this option that says show guides. And if you select it, it's turning that entire shape into a guide. So the guides, you know, you may be familiar with guides like rulers that you can drag from the side. But in this case, I'm using like an entire like shape just as a sort of reference. That's kind of like the point. And so the cool thing about that reference is that it doesn't interact with the other geometry. and it doesn't get exported. So anyway, this is like a different use of guides, perhaps you haven't seen. So I have my original shape and I want to expand it. So I can apply that expand modifier over here, expand. There we go. And then we want to expand it a bit more. So we want to increase the distance there. So let's do like 0.04 inches. So this would be the kind of main back section. And then we want to add the stick that holds it down. So I think that's simply a rectangle. I think I'm going to place the rectangle here on the center roughly. Yeah, I think something like, let's do like 5 inches. And let's keep it 1 inch in width. I'm just gonna put it down here. So right now it's kind of like overlapping in a weird way. But let's leave it at that. I want it to overlap because maybe if we change the shape later, then I want it to still kind of work. So now we want to join these two together, the star, the expanded star, and then this other shape, the rectangle. So I'm going to hold shift and select them, or I could just like select them like these. And so check it out. Like, what I was saying is that if I select them, you can see here on the right that only the rectangle and the shape got selected, the star, but the front that I'm using as a guide didn't get selected. So that geometry isn't interacting now. It's just like I can look at it. And let's weld it. There's the modifier called weld. So that's the one I want. Now let's look at the inspiration. So it has the family text that can be engraved probably. So I'm gonna grab some more connected text. So connected, I'm gonna place it here. So that one is gonna say I'm gonna make it smaller, of course. 30, yeah, it looks good. Gonna move it down. Then probably move a little bit to the left so it's like fully centered. With text, you always have to kind of fudge things around. And then at the bottom, I want to say family, so I'm going to duplicate this one by right-clicking, then duplicate. Now I can move it down with my arrow keys. I don't know if I want that one to be offset, but family. Yeah, maybe I want it like right on the center. So there we go. And those should have a fill. So when you send them to the laser, and make it black. So when you send them to the laser, it will be interpreted as an engraving operation. So yeah, that's looking good. That's very close. Let's make these red to distinguish it. So I'm just gonna change the stroke to red because now I want to create these little cutouts for the ribbon. And so those are simply rectangles. So I'm going to grab a rectangle. I'm going to place it over here, just kind of, right there seems good. And I was thinking like something like 0.1 and by 1 inch seems kind of legitimate. I'm going to place it here in the corner. I'm going to use my arrow keys again to like nudge it. So a little to the right, a little up, maybe another one. I could do that with the mouse, but sometimes I do arrow keys for like quick movements. And we want 2 of those, so I'm going to duplicate this one. So I can right-click and find duplicate. And here is the keyboard shortcut for keyboard shortcut aficionados. You can see that is Command D. So I'm going to do Command D, which duplicates it, and again the arrow key to just like move it up. I don't want to repeat the work of like making 2 more and put them on the right and centering them. So the quick way of doing it is if I select them, I hold the shift key. I can apply this mirror repeat. So that literally just mirrors the shape to the other side. So if everything else is perfectly centered on the canvas, then this is also going to be nicely centered. And the nice thing is we can still edit it. If we select it and we move it, you can see how it adjusts. So those are going to be the cuts. And I think this is good. Maybe I was moving too fast. Let's continue. So now, if I want to see what the back actually looks like, I could even, that front that I got as a guide, I can actually hide it just for a moment. I could even delete it, but I'm going to leave it there for a moment. So yeah, that looks good. I think this one has these kind of nicely rounded corners, which I like. It makes it a little neat. So I think I want to do that. Let me open this again. So sometimes I navigate things like to know which one it is. I just kind of like pass the mouse over this list and they get kind of highlighted in blue on the left. So I'm doing that so I can find that rectangle. So I can click on it and then I'm just gonna round the corners. So I'm gonna get the modifier, round corners. Looks good. I'm just gonna leave the default radius, but you can change that if you want. And see, notice that I don't really care too much about these corners being rounded because that, the top ones, because that's all joined together, so we're good. I could even round these one, actually. I want to round the corners of this one. I don't know, extra neat, maybe too much, but let's do it. Sweet. So now to kind of follow the pattern that we've been doing before, I want to create like a preview look of it and then a cut view of it. So to do that, I'm gonna make another component. So call it new component. Start with the preview. I think that the preview, I treat it as like the way I'm gonna assemble the project. So I place the back first on it, and then I place the front right there. And I think that looks decent. We could even, yeah, let's do it at that. Yeah, why not? Let's give this a fill. Maybe does it obscure it a little bit? Yeah, maybe. Let's say we're gonna do like some wood or something, like a light brownish. Downside, if I give this one a fill, if I give the front a fill, do I lose the, oh no, it works. Look at that. Yeah, let's get like blue, lighter blue. Yeah, that's readable. So that would be my preview. So I can kind of see how things look. I can like say change the family name. I'm starting to see a little problem here where the D and the family should, maybe we want some adjustments of that. That looks okay. So that's my preview, but that's the one I just want to look at. And now I wanna have like one that is the cut. So I'm gonna create yet another component, and I'm gonna call that one the cut, where I want just the things that are gonna be cut. And so the easy way to do it is that we can just place the front. That's something we want to cut for sure, and then we can place the back next to it. And for now, we're not really changing the sizes of these. So I think this works. Potentially we might want to do this in red because that's going to be a cut. So I'm going to change that group to red, and hopefully that preserves the well done score in blue, which is what I wanted. And now the cut looks, yeah. Okay, cool. So if I wanted to present these in the template view or the simplified view, I can go to my README here, and then I can add that component. So I'm going to let's add the preview component so you can sort of see what's going on. Yeah, so we can see what's going on. But when we want to set the download, we can create another component here with this plus, and then add the cut. And so if you can see here, this one has the little download arrow. So when people hit download SVG, then that's what you will get. Not this one, not the preview, but this one right here. So, okay, that's good. So this works. I think one thing that Jennifer mentioned is that it would be interesting to have like different shapes. So I did want to explain how to do that because I think now that the whole setup is kind of done, we can like try and accommodate different shapes. So I'm gonna go back here to the shape component, and I don't know if people put a heart on top of the Christmas tree, but because the heart is kind of built into Cuttle, I'm gonna start with that. So I'm gonna look for heart. I'm gonna place it here, and because I use 4 inches as my kind of starting size, I'm gonna type 4 inches just to size it to that. And then I can actually see things are working, but by navigating all these components. So the front looks funny. I mean, it's like now I have both shapes. The back works, and if I look at the preview, that works. That looks like a weird satanic symbol. That's not what I was going for. So what that means is because I have the heart and the star all together. Weirdly enough, it works, but like what we want to do is hide one. So if I go back to the shape, I'm going to hide the star. And so that shows me just the heart. And so that, because that's the thing that I use in all the other components, then it kind of, adapts to that. So that's what I want. So now this is the kind of like slightly advanced, I suppose, thing that I wanted to show you, which is, now that you have this idea, you know that you can add any other shape here. I don't know who would want a circle on top of their Christmas tree, but if I add a circle and I hide the heart, then it works. So you get the idea that by hiding and showing the shape that it's in this shape component, then we get everything to update. But sometimes you don't want people to like go in and like try and find out what is it that they want to hide. So one thing you could do is, I'm gonna delete the circle for now. One thing you could do is sort of have like some sort of selection component. So I'm gonna explain these to try and make it very clear. So one thing we could do is something like this. There is this advanced modifier that say if we want to apply it to I'm going to make both of them visible. So I'm going to select the heart, and I'm going to go to modify, and I'm going to go all the way down to advanced, and there is this one that is called visible. So as you can see, it has a little eye icon. So if I apply it, that eye icon is quite similar to this little eye icon because they're kind of like the same thing. But now that it has this visible modifier applied, what I get is this check mark, this checkbox. So if I check it on, then the shape is visible. If I check it off, then the shape disappears. And so what I can do is move that. I'm going to extract it as a parameter, and I'm going to move it to a project parameter. And I can rename it because that I applied to the heart. So now, even if I look at it, so if I click here, the heart appears and disappears. If I look at the README, I can get the heart to appear and disappear. And that's exactly what I wanted. Then let's go back to the shape. I can apply the same thing to the star. So I go to the star, I go to modify, advanced, make it visible. And so I get this check mark again. I can extract it as a parameter, move it to project parameters, and I'm going to rename it so it's the star. So now what I get is this kind of behavior where, like, if I check the heart, it shows up. If I check the star, it disappears. So if both of them disappear, then I get this weird thing. So this is not necessarily pretty, but like this is a quick way of doing it. If you wanted to do it, you can have like you can add even more shapes here, like, and then the interaction would be, if you want the heart, you would uncheck everything else that you don't want. If you want to do this weird remix, you can. But this works if you want to just have it really quickly. But there is like a slightly nicer way of doing it. So I think the slightly nicer way of doing it would be something like, if I want like a behavior where, like, if I check one of them, all of the other ones get unchecked. So that would be like a selection. And there is a way to do a selection. So let me go back here. So if I add a new parameter, and then I change its type by clicking on these three dots, there is a parameter type that is called select. So if I click select, then it gives me these edit options. And so here I can just type whatever. So as long as it's separated by lines. So I can type heart, which is one of the options that I want, heart. And then I press enter and I can type star, which is another option that I want. And so I set those as the options. I'm gonna rename that. So now I have this kind of like selector, but now I need to link the selector to the other things, to the to the heart and the star. And so the idea here is something like this. Instead of this being a checkbox, it needs to be linked to these. So in order to do that, what I can do is edit these, edit the expression. And so let me organize it here a little bit better just to be more clear. So I want this selection to affect what happens here. So if I edit the expression, the idea is something like this. If the shape, meaning these, equals, or it's heart, I have to put this in little commas. Then that's going to be true, and so then that's going to become visible. So if I select heart, if I select heart, then that should become visible or invisible, right? So it's kind of working there, and I can do the same with this one. So let's change edit the expression, and I need to type if shape equals star. Oh, I got it wrong. Sorry about that. This one is supposed to be the heart, and this one is supposed to be the star. All right, cool. So now, if this one is star, then the star shows. If this one is heart, then the heart shows. So that's how that one works. And right here, now it's kind of like hidden, but because if I look at the README, those expressions get hidden. So and now you only see these. Anyway, so that was like my first attempt at explaining how this particular select operation can work with the new modifier. Slightly fancy, but like hopefully it makes sense. But probably most likely what people might want to do is add a different shape. So in order to do that, you can always just kind of override things by changing things here, and then you can go to a site like the Noun project. My favorite way to find interesting SVGs, and you can always like type for something like, let's try a star or something like that. This is not too different from the stars we've been using, but like you can always hit one of these stars, download the SVG, and then you can insert it here. So in case you want to I would probably want to move it to the center. Make that 0 and 0. Probably make it about 4 inches. And that is not an idea. Oh, and we want to make that one no fill because it works with the other stuff. So anyway, that's not an ideal shape, but you get the idea, I think. I'm going to hide it and then just show my other two. I did go ahead and make, I wanted to cut it just to kind of validate it. So I made this for a friend. So I noticed that someone on Facebook was trying to add accents. So you can add accents to these, and some fonts might not work, but the default font seems to work. And so I did cut one out of cardstock just to kind of validate the way it would look. So here's the thing. So cool. is not a perfect template, because I think you still might want to like change the position of the D and the family, like move it around, but like, it's a starting point. Hopefully this helps you like build it exactly the way you would like it. All right, cool. So that's half an hour. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the questions and the requests. I'll see you in the next one. All right, cool. Bye.